Hi friends, Mali Pankadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of SOAR Community Nebula. We are interviewing community builders and champions of change this year, and the goal is to interview 1,000 in this year. And today we have with us Mohamed Kamara. Mohamed, thank you so much for being a part of our initiative and for saying yes to this interview series.
Sure, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, I would like for you to start by introducing yourself to our audience and share with us the work that you're currently doing in the world.
Sure. I began this work in Inovcares because my sister passed away giving birth and my aunt passed as well. So it's truly a passion that's changed me internally of really building a technology around how do we limit bias in the healthcare system? When brown-skinned people tend to go get care, for physicians, they tend to have bias. So how do we limit those biases from a ethnic point of view, from a social determinant point of view? How do we limit those? So that's our mission for Inovcares. There's a second company that I also work with, Digital Brain, that is really supporting military veterans and as well as those individuals that play sports who have suffered concussion. How do we get them up to speed and be able to provide a technology that help with diagnosing or efficiently telling them what side of the brain is impacted? So that's the type of work I do currently. So healthcare is my passion.
When did it become your passion? I know that you have the personal story, and you mentioned, unfortunately, of the losses of your loved ones when they were looking or seeking for care. Did you have a love for medicine, health, and wellness before all of this, or was that really the pivotal moments in your life that said, I've got to do something to impact this industry?
I've always had a passion for healthcare. Dating back to high school, when I was asked, what would you become? One of those questions, right? And I was told, most of my peers said, oh, he's going to be a physician. Most people projected that I would follow that route in college, but I went to college and pivoted because most individuals that are immigrants tend to either, when they're in college and maybe even sometime in high school, they tend to send money back home to their parents, right, as a way to support them. And so, again, it was a need versus a desire. I needed to support my parents back home while I'm in college, so I switched to finance instead. So I've been in healthcare finance, and the impact and death of my sister kind of brought me back to, well, I have to refocus my attention to health IT, and that's been the journey.
Yeah, you mentioned home. So where is your original home?
Home is Sierra Leone. That's defined me, my values. My parents were entrepreneurs as well. My mom especially, who raised me, and my dad as well. They were both entrepreneurs, so they shaped who I'm becoming now. They've always cared for others. They've always been in the church. And then my mom is also Muslim, so there's like Islamic faith married the Christian faith. They coexisted very beautifully. So that's really shaped who I am today. That as an entrepreneur, that I came from that kind of background where it's important to give back. So that's the fundamental of who I am entirely. Why that's why I'm passionate about healthcare. Or really, I'm also part of a program called SLP, which is a startup environment where we bring in founders, experts like yourself, Molly, to speak to the founders and help them grow their businesses. So I do that on a volunteer basis. So those are the things that I like doing to help other people achieve their dreams.
That's fantastic. The next question that I have is around mentors and other conscious leaders, mindful leaders who have impacted your life. Can you share an example or a story of another human being or other souls who have really gone out of their way to lift you up and show you the way?
Absolutely. I think I even speak about him in my book, The Empowered Patients, that's soon to be released here. One of them is Kenny Sipes. Kenny Sipes is a dynamic leader. He's currently the CEO and founder of a coffee shop in Columbus, Ohio. Prior to founding that coffee shop, and the mission for the coffee shop is they do justice. They provide human trafficking. They provide funding to human trafficking organization, water issues, and as well as I think it's hunger issues they're fighting. So you buy coffee there, some of that profit goes to fight those causes. And Kenny Sipes, prior to founding that organization, that coffee shop, he was a youth pastor. So he invested in my life when I came here in 8th grade, got me very early on. That's when I became a Christian then as well. And he's kind of, he invested in, I was the first person he mentored, right? So that mentee relationship, and I held on to it before even going to college. I met with him, I think my senior year of high school, and we went through a book together. And throughout my college, I would come in and check in with him. And then I came back 180, right? Back to volunteering, teaching 10th and 12th graders Bible study. And we'll go on mission trip as well with him. So it's really a revolving door. He gave back, and I came back to do the same thing.
That's great. As you think about change agents and community builders that you have spent some time with in your work, are there specific attributes or characteristics that are consistent among these men and women?
Absolutely. It's a favorite quote, and he's a friend. He's also a friend of Bob Goff. I don't know if you're familiar with Bob Goff. Love Does. He wrote that book.
Okay.
A love requires an action. So one of the things that Bob Goff posted was humble people make grace look easy. I would say that again. Humble people make grace look easy. So all the leaders that I've had, that have mentees, the mentors that have impacted my life, they were dynamic individuals. They care about people. They're really passionate, but they were very humble as well. So very smart, but they were very humble. And that quote resonated because it's truly all of the people that have impacted my life have that spirit of, they're really, really smart, but they have humility. And I think it goes a long way. And I think that probably stemmed from our faith being Christians as well, that it's less of I, more of we, right? It's team mentality. So that's that kind of discipleship where my values stem from that. So I think humility. So humble people make grace look easy.
I like that. That's a very, very nice quote there. Now let's talk about you and your passion to give back. You spend a lot of time with multiple projects, building multiple businesses, but you also, as you mentioned earlier, volunteer your time. What causes are you devoting your resources, your energy, your dollars, and your heart and soul to that you would like to share with our community? If it's a particular nonprofit, or maybe it's a movement, maybe it's a particular social issue that you really are getting behind and doing something about. Can you share some of those with us?
So I'm very, very much passionate about women's health, and most organizations that I'm behind, it's always speaking, even when I'm in a room of dominant male, it's always, how do we better women's life and their impact in not only having them have resources, and finances when it comes to starting their businesses, but as well as healthcare. So that's a cause that's very close to my heart. Reason why, because my sister passed away. So that's partly why. And I love the fact that great leaders are really women. They tend to listen better. So that's one thing that I hope to retain and do better with. Listening. So they tend to listen better. And most of my volunteering efforts as well. I mentor women that are just starting their businesses, or they're already seasoned entrepreneurs. They have multi-million businesses. I come in and help with their financial metrics because I'm an MBA CPA guy. So I help them in the areas of healthcare finance, or when they're doing projections, budgeting, and forecasting. So I help with my more of a specialized knowledge that I bring to the table besides just tech. It's more so finance. Mm-hmm.
That's really good. Okay, you talked about this, or you shared a quote earlier. I don't know if you have another quote or a philosophy, motto, or perhaps scripture. When things are difficult for you and you've had your own share of grief and pain in life, what helps you to move forward? Is there something that you turn to? Is there, like I said, a quote or scripture or motto that really helps to ground you, to center your soul, and then to help you move forward?
Something that always resonates. I think everyone tends to have New Year's resolution. And my New Year's resolution is the same every single year. And that is love God, love people. If we do it all the way around, love people, love God, because you got to be able to see them individually. We haven't seen God yet, but through loving people, we get to see a glimpse of God, right? So it's love God and love people. That's really all my New Year's resolution every single year. So if I am loving people, that means I'm very conscious of how I interact with them, how I'm supportive to them, how my words impact them, and then authentically being myself at the same time. But so love God, love people, love God. If I can extend God's love through me to them, I think it goes a long way. And I know there's certain scenarios here through last year and this year as well. Second trips, I took the bus to New York. And when I took the bus to New York, for some reason, every single time I'm in New York, there's always someone that's in need that will stop me. It's a hard time for them. They don't have money or they're homeless. They will stop me. Then they will ask for money, right? And there's a guy that's a famous boxer. He told me the story. I didn't know whether it was true or not. And then I pull him up on YouTube. So it was a famous boxer. Times got hard. And he was in the New York subway. And I think I mentioned this in my book as well. New York subway. And he asked me for some couple of dollars. And I was like, do you need something more than that? He was like, yeah, I need to get back to New Jersey. He couldn't get a train from New York to New Jersey. And he's like, I'm also hungry. It's like, okay, well, hold on for me. So I took him to a store. And in the subway, we found a place to eat, and we sat down together, ate, found out about his story, right? I love learning about people's story. There's always a story behind individuals. So I spent the entire 30 minutes or so learning about his story, eating a meal, sharing a meal with him. And then we said our goodbyes afterwards, and I gave him my contact as well in case he wants to reach out in the future. So I tell that story because it's part of loving God, loving people, and loving God.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful soul. That's why you can tell beautiful stories, because you create those experiences for yourself and for others. Let me ask you this. If you could create a better world or describe a better world, what would that better world look like through your eyes?
Less suffering, more love. And there's a lot of pain because I came from a place where my country, Sierra Leone, it's had some good time. It's also had some rough time too. It's a beautiful place. If you haven't gotten the chance to visit, Sierra Leone has really great. It's good for hiking. Good for your normal vacation if you're going on the beach. It's really good. But we've had some hard times. We went through a civil war. I know I was part of that, living through that aspect of it. My mom, she's a much stronger one. She's a soldier, right? She went through and lived through the entire civil war itself, and she's still back home. But Ebola crisis came and hit us. But I think one of the greatest source for us is through that is a bunch of resilience, loving individual. So that's where my roots are. No matter the circumstances, that always resonate that you live another day and you love people. And that gives you encouragement.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah.
Thank you for being who you are and for doing such incredible work. It's much needed, and you've committed your whole life to improving the health and wellness of women and of men, of course. And you plan to do this on a global scale, and I so commend you and thank you for that work. Really appreciate it.
And thanks for having me on here, Molly.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you again. And for those that are watching, we really appreciate you for tuning in, for following us, and for sharing these wonderful stories of beautiful souls who are out there trying to do their part to change the world, to create some positive impact. And we know that it's not easy. We know that this task is for all of us to contribute to. So we want to highlight your story as well. Please remember to nominate yourself or nominate someone in your community who's making a huge difference. We'd love to spread more light and more love and more peace and more goodness around. Okay? Learn more at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you all. We'll talk to you soon.